Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Piofiore 1926. Continuing Orlok's route, we're in chapter 5. This one feels very... Well, okay, I guess it's not super short. I think I think it's a little bit shorter than Gil's at any rate, because unless chapter 6 is super long, you know what I mean? But anyway, we had a touching moment in the last part with Gil and Leo, and just fucking heartwarming and wonderful. And maybe Leo's not quite ready to stop hating Orlok and forgive him, you know, and he may never stop hating Orlok and he may never forgive him, but maybe he'll stop trying to kill him and he'll just be at peace, taking Gil's hand and taking his help, and just warms my fucking heart. And it was beautiful. Anyway, here we are now after the church incident with Johan and everything. So Johan, I don't think, is going to stop trying to stab fucking Orlok because he still seems pissed. So not long after Johan left, Henry apologized once again for the sudden meeting before taking his leave as well. Orlok and I were the only ones left now. We decided to remain in the church and pray before leaving for the night. What is that shackles noise? After making sure the doors were locked, you were inside for quite a while. Were you offering a prayer? Emilio! We ended with Emilio and we start with Emilio. No matter how often it occurred, Emilio's appearance always managed to surprise me. Honestly, I'm not surprised anymore when it's like question mark, and there's a voice. It's Emilio, isn't it? It's never going to be Emilio ever again, but I'm always going to suspect that it's him now. Doesn't matter whose route it is. This motherfucker just pops up everywhere. My, how alike you are. He, too, would always stop to say a prayer, regardless of how busy his schedule was. He? Orlok looked at Emilio curiously. Come to think of it, Emilio said before... With Orlok's father being of German descent, perhaps the taste is comforting. You're referring to Orlok's father by chance? Oh, we circled back to that, because I forgot about that. Indeed. Orlok's eyes widened at Emilio's simple reply. No, my father? Who is he? Does he live in Germany? I'm sure he's dead. Orlok's questions came in rapid succession as he moved closer to Emilio. We both waited with bated breath, but in that pause, I knew it would be upsetting news. I'm sorry, Orlok. Your father has already passed on from this world. Orlok's gaze fell to the ground, his eyelashes trembling with disappointment. But it was known to him that you were raised by the church and became a disciple. What? Does that mean Orlok's father was a part of the church in some way? I wonder if Heterochromia Boy is our Orlok's fucking brother. Just throwing it out there. Because, like, they both have heterochromia and they both have, like, that same green-colored kind of eye. I'm just throwing it out there because it's really random that they would give another character heterochromia. That's usually like a one and done thing, if they throw it in there at all. You know what I mean? Glasses and shit, sure. Like festive hats, sure. But like heterochromia, that's like oddly specific. So I'm just saying. Unlike me and my Sims, who like fucking all of them have it because it's God, I love it. Like, but you know what I mean? Like, and technically, well, I mean, like in all my Sims games, it's all genetically. I would think if you had heterochromia, your children would be more genetically predisposed to have it, or like you could have a sibling that has it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, isn't it a genetic abnormality? It sounds weird when you say it that way, but it's like, look, if I technically had to have some kind of genetic abnormality, I think I'd prefer that because that seems like, yeah, my eyes are different colors. It's kind of fun. As opposed to some of the other fucking shit that I'm predisposed to that I'm like, not looking forward to that shit, you know? So, anyway. Emilio didn't reply, but his smile answered my question. Oh, for fuck's sake! I really hate my fucking phone. Hold on a second, I gotta turn it off. This is someone, yeah. Okay. I have to mute it. It's actually my sister, so that's okay, but she sent me multiple texts, and if she keeps texting me, it's gonna go off and it's gonna annoy me, so. Emilio didn't reply, but his smile answered my question. Oh, father knew of all the people I killed as a disciple. Orlok was apprehensive as he asked, and Emilio responded reassuringly. He'll be a half-brother, I'm just saying. Of course, but your father didn't think it was wrong of you to do so. In fact, it was his greatest wish that you become a disciple. It was? Sorry, I clicked that too fast. The revelation was as much of a shock as it was a relief. He was a devout follower of the church with absolute faith in his beliefs. Well, Orlok, it's good you didn't meet him because he sounds crazy. The church teaches that humans are born with sin and continue to sin throughout life. He felt that his own sins were so disgraceful that his son would be born with even greater sin. In order to save the soul of his son, he vowed to serve God until his dying breath. And he believed in his own way that you might attain salvation by becoming a disciple and then stabbing a bunch of people. Not really I got questions, but I'm okay. Okay. What kind of sin did my father commit? Adultery? I cannot say out of respect to him, though I will say that he felt profoundly guilty for having broken the laws of his faith. And that's where our half-brother, the other priest guy with heterochromia, comes from. I'm just throwing it out there. Everyone seems to have weird bastard family members in this going. I mean, okay, we really only have Gil to go on, but we had his fucking bastard father come around, and his half-brother that he didn't know about. So I'm just saying, Orlok, if you had a half-brother, that would be kind of fucking out there. I mean, we're just learning all about dads here. Piofiore 1926 should have been Piofiore daddy issues, because I just feel like that's where we're going right now. So far, 2 for 2. Dante already had family issues, so. But the measure of sin changes with human opinion, even if one's faith remains the same. Do you know why my father left my mother? How did he learn what became of me? If he knew of the disciples, does that mean he was in a high position in the church? Emilio listened with patience, smiling at Orlok as gently as always. Emilio's like, I can't tell you anything about him. But, like, you had a dad. Like, come on, Emilio, what the fuck? Your father and mother parted ways before you were born. The details involved are of a nature too personal for me to disclose, however. Your mother was of Italian descent and passed her family name on to you. But your given name was one that would have held great significance to your father. Name? What does the name Orlok mean? No, Orlok was the name given to him after he became a disciple. There was another name before it. Do you remember? Orlok has a real name. Oh my god, it's like when Direttore came on, he's like Henry, and you're like, ah, we finally learned the Phantom of the Casino's name! I don't remember when we learned that, and I might have known it before, but you know what I mean? There's always like the secret character, and then like, oh, what's their real name? I didn't know Orlok had a secret name. Orlok's brow furrowed in concentration as he tried to recall his early childhood. Fortunately, it might have been too long ago for him to remember. Oh my god, Orlok! Bonk him on the head. Amelia spoke in a low, chanting voice as if to trigger Orlok's memory. His name is Noah! That's so adorable. I love it. It's actually a good name. I like that. That would be a name I would name my sins. You know what I'm saying? But I do like that name. That's so cute. Noah. Noah Silveri. That's your real name. Struck by the powerful memory, Orlok staggered back as the realization swept over him. Do we have to start calling him Noah now? So adorable! I love it! What had long remained dormant was suddenly reawakened by Emilio's whisper. How could I have forgotten? He mumbled to himself, still in a stupor. I feel like that's why we don't know other priest guy's name, because if we knew his last name was Silveri or whatever, we would have known right now that they're siblings and we're not supposed to know till the end. I feel like they have to be. They have the fucking same, they have fucking heterochromia. Like, come on. There's got to be some connection there. It can't just be fucking random, because then they would have given it to a character that had no ties to Orlok's route. You know what I mean? And to remember would have only been a burden. Those who oversee the disciples have no need for their pasts, only their futures. Which is why the survivors of the final trial who become elevated to the role of disciples are freed from their memories. Of course, The process is not perfect. Medicine and hypnosis may mask it from human perception, but the essence of the soul will always remain. Warlock listened quietly as Emilio spoke, trying his best to remember his forgotten past. Perhaps the name Noah was helping him to illuminate the darkened corners of his mind. Now, I must be going, until we meet again. Emilio bid us farewell and departed, leaving us to contemplate this newly revealed truth. We're just standing there dumbstruck, and he's just like, okay, bye! Fucking Emilio. Soon, Orlok and I followed, making our way into the darkness behind him. We walked slowly, holding each other's hands. A few minutes after we arrived in Krita, Orlok broke the silence. I'm sure we're never going to call him Noah, but you know what I mean. I don't remember much about my childhood, and I have very few memories of my mother. But I assumed that was normal since my mother passed away before I was old enough to remember what happened. My earliest memories are of training to become a disciple, but even now I can hardly recall the faces of the others I trained with. Those were all the memories taken from you. Orlok nodded in response. But I see now. My name was Noah all along. And here's the thing too, so but the weird thing is he doesn't remember the faces of the people he trained with, but he kind of remembers having to kill them. He remembers Werner. You know what I'm saying? That's a little odd, but well, maybe you have to remember that because that's the start of your bloodlust. I don't know. Orlok. I wasn't sure exactly how to phrase it. If your real name is Noah, should I call you by that name instead? Orlok thought about it for a moment. Orlok should be fine. It's not that I wouldn't like being called Noah, but it would feel like I'm using that name to turn away from my sins, and Orlok lowered his eyes, thinking back on the past, and I felt his grip grow stronger. I may not be able to remember much about my past, but there is something I do remember. He was the one who taught me everything I needed in order to live as a disciple. By he, do you mean... Orlok nodded and began to share more. About how he was brought to the church and placed into His Excellency's care. How he was given food to restore his strength so that he could move again like he used to. Okay, so yet Rosberg acted like a father to him, I guess. But it's weird because I was like, I think maybe what I thought was happening in was going to happen in Orlok's route was he's really secretly your father, but he just more acted and treated him more like, you know what I mean? Maybe I just expected that was going to be the secret twist and it wasn't. Because there's a part of me that why is that in my brain that, and then it was maybe it was just because he was basically he kind of adopted him like he was his own child and not just a random kid in my care. It was no, but this one's special. You know what I mean? I don't know. The day after he was chosen as a prospective. Oh, little baby Orlok with a dagger. Something so sinister but adorably cute about it. I'm not surprised we got a little baby Orlok because we got a little baby Gil, so we should absolutely get little baby everybody's I'm gonna die because look at his fucking eyes. Oh my god. The path to disciplehood is a difficult one. Most will lose their lives during the ordeal. However, I have absolute faith that you'll triumph. Believe in you, Noah. Every one of us is born a sinner. We must live in a way that may absolve us of our sins. Couldn't remember the expression on His Excellency's face. I didn't have the knowledge to understand the words he spoke. But what I could remember was his voice was kind and gentle. Oh, baby blushy Orlok is so cute. Stop it. I was so proud at the time, and yet I completely forgot about that day. His Excellency gave me a Fusetto to use. Most of the weapons given to the perspectives were supplied to us by the church. Fusetto? Whatever. His Excellency was very strict. He never showed particular favor to me or anyone else. That seems like bullshit. Which is why the Fusetto he gave me became my sole treasure. It may just be a coincidence. It was crafted near my hometown in the northern part of Veneto. Joseph Rosberg really was your real father. I'm just saying. I'm throwing it out there. It could possibly be. Sure if His Excellency chose my weapon because he knew my roots. I never had the chance to ask him, but this is still a cherished possession to me. It's what's allowed me to survive until this day. That's what I believe. Or it's just what I want to believe. Orlok's trembling voice made my heart ache with pain. The name Orlok was given to me by His Excellency when I became a disciple. It was a name that separated me from my previous existence, to become a true disciple of God. His name is Johann Steiner. He's taken over your mission here, despite not being a disciple himself. No, Orlok was the name given to him after he became a disciple. There was another name before it. Do you remember? Perspectives were given new names after they became disciples. See, both Orlok's name and his weapon were given to him by the same person. He understood how much those memories meant to Orlok still, despite all the heartache he suffered, and which I too felt keenly. I understood how much those memories meant to Orlok still, despite all the heartache he suffered, and which I too felt keenly. Okay, that makes more sense. I read it weird. I stayed quiet, wondering if Orlok had anything else to share. He said nothing more. We continued to walk down the road toward the manor. Our hands still joined together tightly. But okay, so... You know what I mean? So, when they become disciples, or when they become perspectives, they're given new names. So, Johann's shouldn't be Johann. And how would he know who his brother... You know what I mean? Because then we're like, oh, Werner. And like, was that his real name, though? Because, you know what I mean? So it's like, how many... That gets a little confusing. So... Huh? The following morning, we discovered yet another unexpected face at the Visconti Manor. Fucking Leo. He glanced up at us for a moment, then resumed eating breakfast while looking uncomfortable. I mean... What are you doing here? Even Orlok was surprised by his appearance and stood between us, just in case. Leo would never hurt us. Orlok, Jesus! And then Oliver's over there, no fighting amongst my children! I feel like Oliver is like, Gil, I'm not 100% sure why you keep bringing sassy lost children here, because you brought the fucking murder twins, and Orlok, and fucking Leo, and like, I don't understand why you have to bring these lost children all up into my shit, but I'm here for it, because I'm just gonna make sure they have enough food. Like, Oliver is the person who absolutely would chide Gil for bringing in random fucking strays, but also absolutely fall in love and take care of all of them. Like, Leo didn't say a word, but I heard a deep sigh escape Oliver, who was holding his forehead. Like, he's like, fucking A. Gilbert brought him here last night. Our boss said he'd not bring either of you any harm, but I've had a splitting headache ever since. Miss Gil. He's already left. He went to visit the marketplace. The marketplace by the sea? Yes. He finds speaking with the townsfolk to be amusing and informative. Forgive me, but I must be going as well. Oliver, waiting to see us before you left. To make sure my children know not to fight before Dad goes to work. Our newest visitor's presence needed to be explained, and naturally, Gilbert has shirked the responsibility of telling you himself. Thank you, Oliver. Oliver gave a small chuckle. Fucking Oliver! I think I love him for all the bullshit he has to put up from Gil. Like, blood would have been difficult to remove from the upholstery. Now then, if you'll excuse me. Oliver stood and walked out of the room, and a hush fell over the three of us. As I wondered what I could possibly say, Leo spoke first. I was at the church last night, too. He stared at Orlok with a serious face. I heard everything, but I'm not going to forgive you ever. Whatever your reasons are have nothing to do with me. But I still haven't made up my mind yet, so I'm going to stay with the Visconti and keep my eye on you. Orlok made no attempt to interrupt, nodding in response once Leo was finished. As long as you weren't planning to kill me yet, that's fine with me. He finished breakfast, then quietly stood and left. Just then, our own meals were brought in, so Orlok and I sat down to eat. Orlok, will we be going out to look for Johann today? Orlok thought for a moment, then shook his head. I haven't yet fulfilled my mission to bring back Johann, but I think what needed to be learned was revealed yesterday. For now, I'll give him time to decide what it is that he wants and what he'll do. I see. I think that's a good idea. Orlok shifted his gaze here and there, glancing around the room with some hesitation. What does he sense right now? I remained quiet so as not to disturb him and watched as he drank his entire glass of orange juice in seconds. Finally, he turned to me. About our plans for today. I want to go on a date with you. A date? I hadn't been expecting that at all. His sudden request took me by surprise. Yes, things are calmer now, so it should be relatively safe to go outside. It was very unusual for Orlok to suggest a romantic outing like this, and it's the perfect time for Raoul to try and kidnap us! Because hello, where the fuck has he been? We've been to a lot of places since we arrived here, but I don't think we've been on a date in Berlin yet. I'm so happy you brought it up. I'd love to. Orlok blushed with shyness. Thank God. I'm happy that you accepted. Is there any place you'd like to go? Well, our past outings were all related to the search for Johann. As for where we could enjoy ourselves... how about the seaside? Maybe we'll even run into Gil on the way, and then you can give him a piece of your mind. I'm fine with going to the seaside, but we don't need to see Gil. This is our date. Oh, Orlok. You're like, maybe we'll run into Gil! And he's like, it's our date. Yeah, but like, Gil. Girl. Listen, I understand I'm getting sidetracked by the side pieces, okay? Because that's my lot over here. But like, you're supposed to be in love with Orlok. At least act it a little. Jesus. We spent the rest of breakfast time planning our date. As we approached the harbor, we found it to be lively and bustling with people. Even when I lived in Berlin, I stayed close to the church and rarely visited this area or anywhere else. The sight in front of me was very invigorating. Have you been here often, Orlok? Only when needed. This was a key location for the Mafia since their ships arrived every so often to deliver cargo. But I never visited outside of work. It's nicer being here with you. His response was so sweet that my cheeks could hardly contain my smile. We took each other's hands so that we wouldn't get separated. Under the clear blue sky, we walked through the busy crowd, and I smelled the aroma of fresh fruits growing stronger.
Well now, how about a drink, you two? It's sangria made with fresh...
Percoca?
It should be quite chilled by now.
A special variety of clingstone peach. Okay, some kind of peach. Alright. Then, can I have 2 of them?
You got it. Aren't you two a picture? Sweethearts, I take it?
Yes, sweethearts. His shy smile was full of joy. Oh, it's an old lady. The old lady handed us 2 glasses filled with sangria and topped with fruit. They sparkled like rubies in the bright sunlight. It's the same color as Orlok's eye. I found myself looking at him as I thought so. Why don't we enjoy them over there? We moved to the side of the road and I took a sip of the sangria. How delicious! I'd always loved percocoa, peaches, whatever. Okay, but I'd never had them in sangria before. I don't usually drink alcohol, but I enjoy having it when you're around. In a way, it reminds me that we're both adults.
Oh, Orlok.
We're both adults,
And we should do adult things. Are you coming on to me? Are you making this date so that you get laid? Is that what it is? You bought me a sangria and now I gotta put out?
About fucking time. Don't make me read it, though. Orlok's eyes were honest as they met mine. In them, I could see the deep affection that he felt, and I returned his loving gaze. These are fun. Wish this date could go on forever. Me too. I smiled and nodded in agreement.
Oh, this fucking beautiful moment's gonna get crushed shortly.
We enjoyed the peaceful moments of the day without any worries whatsoever. We roamed around the marketplace until the afternoon when the vendors began to pack up.
Oh, we actually had a pleasant time before we got kidnapped. We're gonna get kidnapped at some point. That's gonna be like the end of our date.
On our way back to the manor, Orlok and I passed by the Berlone Casino. There was little traffic in the area around us. The sound of a car approaching grew louder.
Here comes Raoul.
It came to a stop just beside where we stood, and the door opened to reveal... My signorina, what a coincidence. It was the new boss of the Falzone family, Raoul Ghirlandaio. Ghirlandaio? Something.
I said it sorta okay. I didn't call him Ghirardelli Chocolates. Like, his fucking last name.
He seemed very pleased to see me.
He seemed very pleased to see me. That's just a banana in his pocket, sweetie. It's okay. I mean, I really wish he wasn't such a shady fucking bastard, because I kind of love him. But, you know, we kind of like the shady bastard, so. And again, game, if you're going to introduce hot side characters, I think we need to start pulling what we did in Biroshana, where we have, like, hot side character, like, chapters. Where it's just, like, a quick little 30, 40 minutes of, like, little side piece thing where we're like, oh, okay, huh? And I just want to romance the side characters, okay? I know this isn't, like, a full game, you know, so I could kind of see where, like, maybe you don't think but, like, hello? I love Leo, and I don't really want to romance Leo like that, but, I mean, I could understand if people want to romance Leo, and I think you deserve that. I kind of want to romance fucking Oliver. I'm just saying, we've said this before, but, like, I can't romance Raoul. He's just got to be trash that I hate. Could you make him trash that I hate, but then later I'm like, you know what, I'm kind of into this? I'm just saying. Come on. At least I got to romance my Phantom of the Casino, right? Because that was the big thing in the last one. Orlok took a step forward between us. Since neither of us knew Raoul's true intentions, we both needed to remain vigilant. Perfect timing. I was just thinking about coming for you. Coming for me? His phrasing struck me as odd, but he simply smiled. I've kept you waiting for so long. I do hope you'll forgive me. Perhaps you're ready to accompany me to the Falzone Manor. What do you mean? Though I couldn't see Orlok's face, it was clear by his voice that he was prepared to move if Raoul gave him a reason. Orlok the disciple, was it? And don't tell me you've not been told. About what? The Key Maiden belongs to the Falzone family. His brazen declaration rendered me speechless. I mean, you're like, how fucking dare you? I'm kind of fucking into it. You know what I mean, though? You're like, oh! Yeah, though. Raoul tapped his finger to his chest and looked at me. You have a mark on your chest, yes. Evidence that you're the Key Maiden of legend. Which means... you belong to the leader of the Falzone family and are destined to become one with me. I'm sorry, but that is some kind of fucking pickup line that you don't hear every day, and, like, can we just give him, like, a good applause for that? Good job, Raoul. That is, like, such a creepy fucking pickup line, but I'm also into it because, like, goddamn, the ball's on you. The way he stared at me made my skin crawl. I sensed something despicable under his smile. See, I think it's like... for me, obviously, because I find Raoul extremely beautiful and that suit is sexy as shit. So he says shit like that, and I'm like, I know I'm supposed to be creeped out, but I'm totally into this. But, like, it's kind of almost nicer that she's not like, oh, he seems really nice. She's like, here's this handsome man who seems like he's slime underneath. And then now she's like, nah, he's creeping me out. Like, because, exactly. Could you, a random fucking person coming up and saying this shit to you? Get the fuck out of here! But it's Raoul, so we'll forgive him because he's hot, so.
I'm unmarried, so you need not worry about being made a mistress. I will properly regard you as my wife.
I mean, thanks, I guess. There's benefits.
Oh my god. Raoul offered his hand to me with confidence, as though he expected me to take it at once.
I mean, part of me is like, do it, but also, like, you know, the other part of me is like, well, I'm just here along for the ride, and she's in love with Orlok, so obviously she's not gonna do it, but me, I'm kind of into trash, so just saying. Just then, don't touch her. Leave now. Orlok held his position in front of me and spoke in a firm voice. A hint of fear flashed across Raoul's face for a brief second, but soon his smile returned. If you wish to verify what I said, you may contact your superiors at the church. If your bodyguard aside, Signorina, I cannot blame you for your confusion, and this is indeed rather sudden. I'm a man of great patience. I shall give you more time to warm to the idea. Until then, Signorina, I look forward to speaking with you more intimately. I bet you do! The bad ending is gonna be like the Orlok bad ending with Dante, isn't it? It's just gonna be that all over again. At least we know what to expect. And I'm just saying that one was horrible. But like, I'm kind of like, if you don't give me a bad ending like that, like here, I'm gonna be slightly disappointed. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just have me die or Orlok die. You gotta have something that's super fucking traumatic. That seems like that's gonna be the tragic bad end. Should be. Because that's pretty fucking tragic. You know what I mean? Having regained his composure, he gave a winsome smile and went back inside the car. And just as he did after our first meeting, he drove off without another word. So fucking hungry. We're gonna finish this part, obviously. My birthmark. I was unable to enjoy my dinner after our jarring encounter this afternoon. Well, this is why you gotta call up. Ring, ring. Hey, Emilio, so the whole key maiden thing. What's the deal with that? How does that work? Oh, well, he's gonna plow you. And then that's gonna open the tomb of Jesus, and then whatever. So how do I... Okay, so like, what if somebody else plows me? Oh, that just breaks everything. That just fucks everything up. Orlok, ding, ding, ding. We need to have sex right now. Like, I'm just saying, it worked in every other route, you know, when it wasn't Dante boning you. It just... So I'm just saying, you need to just go jump on the Orlok. Quite literally, jump on Orlok. I'm just saying. I placed my hand over my chest as I looked in the mirror. I had grown to accept it as part of me. But after hearing what Raoul said, I felt uncomfortable by what it represented. Did she not learn about the whole Key Maiden shit in this route? I kind of figured she knew about it. Well, I mean, aside from the knowing how it works, because I think we figured that out by accident in Dante's route. So this mark is a sign that I'm destined to be with the Falzone? Was Orlok not told about this either? Could it really be true? Raoul spoke with such certainty that there seemed to be no room left for doubt. I mean, the benefit of this is being a possession of the Falzone family is, if you think about it, the Falzone family's hot. You got Dante, you got Nicola, you got Raoul. Dante is like hot, and obviously, you know, not the best because he's a mafia man, so like, but still. And Nicola's like super fucking hot, and like really fucking stabby and kind of like evil, but that's like hot. And then you have fucking like Raoul, who's like hot and just trash. So like, I mean, there's different levels here, but it's all hot. There is a type of hot for everyone in the Falzone family, okay? Maybe Emilio knows. Emilio! Just call out the window. Suddenly, I heard a gentle knock on the door, which made me hesitate for a moment. You're like, is it Emilio? Because he always seems to show up. I then considered that it might be Orlok and put on my robe to open the door. It was just as I had thought. Orlok was standing in the corridor before me. Seeing his face now made me feel awkward. I know it. I'm sorry, I was just... Orlok spoke somewhat haltingly. I could feel he had something to say, but was having trouble putting it into words. Never mind, it's nothing. Good night. Oh, good night, Orlok. I didn't want to force him to tell me, but I know what Orlok wanted to say. I poked my head out to watch Orlok heading back to his room. Normally I would ask him if there was something wrong, but after what happened earlier with Raoul, I felt uneasy and restless. I closed the door and turned the light off before going to bed. I ended up falling asleep only minutes before the sun rose the next morning. It's kind of how I feel this morning. Like, that's how I felt. Like, I was up at 3 a.m. like, all right, well, this is that. And then I finally fell asleep and then my alarm went off and I was like, I don't wanna. Through some divine timing, only Orlok and I were around for breakfast. I looked down uncomfortably and caught sight of my chest.
reminding me again of Raoul. I shook my head and rid myself of the thought, telling myself to keep my head up. It was then that my eyes met Orlok's, who was looking at me with a worried expression. Uh, so, is there anywhere you'd like to go today? For some fresh air? Hey, sorry, but I was thinking of maybe staying in today. I see. Yes, that's a good idea. You haven't had much time to rest since we arrived in town. Orlok nodded a number of times in agreement. Thank you, Orlok. I did my best to smile, even though it felt somewhat forced. Orlok made no mention of it. After finishing breakfast, I excused myself and returned to my room. Itchy. Gil.
Hey, Orlok. Didn't expect to see you here. Were you waiting for me?
Yes. Something strange has happened. It was a complicated situation that left me wondering if I should talk to someone about it. The first person who came to mind was Gil. It's about my partner. Me, your partner? I'd managed to spend the entire day hiding out in my room. Though I was no longer feeling panicked, I couldn't say I was feeling any better. Disappointed, I breathed a sigh. I heard a knock on the door. Space, it's almost dinner time. To be honest, I had no appetite to speak of. But I didn't want to worry Orlok any more than I already had. I have an appetite. All of a sudden, it's just like, the last couple of minutes, it's like, can you hear that? Oh my god. Probably not, but it's like, Jesus Christ. I gathered my strength to meet him at the door. When Orlok and I arrived, Gil and Oliver were already sitting at the table. Leo was joining us for dinner as well. The table was set with an array of delectable-looking dishes with a wonderful aroma. I don't know why I was waiting. I'm like, I can click the button. Hello. Wow. I could hardly believe my eyes. The center of the table was a serving dish of grilled steak drizzled with balsamic glaze. That sounds delicious. Beside it were crispy potato fritters fried to a deep golden brown and laid out beautifully. The American-style pizza had a thick toasted crust with melted cheese oozing between the slices. Right, let's enjoy. Orlok nodded, unsurprised at the lavish feast that had been prepared for dinner this evening.
Now that we got a full house here, I'd say the occasion calls for a nice welcome party. Are you sure it's okay that I'm here? You're my guest, right? Part of the pack.
Gil smiled broadly and clapped a hand on Leo's shoulder.
Is everyone here? Drinks. Looks like we're good. Now then, let's dig in, shall we?
Somehow Gil was able to put us all at ease and invited us all to join in the dinner together. I'm thinking you can have lunch today, right? Please eat. Thank you, Orlok. I will. I nodded in response to Orlok's concern.
You're all our guests of honor this evening, so don't be shy.
Oliver spoke as he began loading everyone's plates one at a time.
I don't know why Oliver just piling shit on everyone's plates like your fucking grandma. It's just fucking hilarious. He swings between mom mode, dad mode, grandma mode. I don't even know where he is on the spectrum over here, but he's fucking hilarious.
Thank you, Oliver. This is a lot of food.
You remind me of my little brother. I cannot allow our youngest to go hungry. Or perhaps that's become second nature to me after all these years of looking after Gilbert. Orlok. No, I suppose this applies to everyone as well. Be sure to eat all your potatoes. They're good for you. The look on Gil's face, he's like, oh, Oliver, we love you. I fucking love Oliver so much.
The man cracks me up. Gil chuckled as he chewed, accustomed to Oliver's seriousness, but amused nonetheless.
We can't eat that many potato I'll have to stop you there, Leo. No anti-potato talk if you know what's good for you.
Leo was too confused to continue, as was I. Gil went on with a serious smirk.
Listen up. Oliver may complain all day, but he's not the type to lose his temper. That being said, First time I ever pissed Oliver off was when I made fun of all the potatoes he eats. Huh? Gil looked at each of us in turn as though he was telling a ghost story. Told him if he loved them so much, he should marry him. I was just joking, you know, but all of a sudden, he knocked me to the ground. Are you serious? I hope you're serious, because this is the best story ever. For being a bookworm, he throws a real nasty punch, and his fist was as hard as a potato. How do you think I got this scar? Oliver didn't even crack a smile as he responded. If you're finished telling tall tales, you should know the potatoes are both delicious and nutritious. You can eat them even without an appetite, so it can aid in one's recovery from illness. Well, I don't know. Doesn't it depend on the... Leo? Gil shook his head solemnly, looking just as serious as he was when he told us his story. I love the fact that it's most likely bullshit, but you're still like, are you... It might be true, though. It might be. I don't know. I choose to believe it's true, because I think it's funny. Damn, Oliver's the best fucking psychic. I'm gonna miss what I want to be with Dante and Nikolai whenever I go those routes, but I'm gonna fucking miss Oliver. Like, he's just such a... Oh, he's a little fucking gem, isn't he? Oh, Jesus.
And does that mean I can grow as tall as you if I eat more potatoes, Oliver?
Yes, of course. There's no doubt about that. Everyone in Germany eats plenty of potatoes. It makes us grow tall, intelligent, and... Wait, isn't that going a bit too... Stop while you're ahead. Just shut up and listen.
Warlock was looking at his plate as he tightened his grip on his fork. I could tell he was deeply affected by what he just heard. Warlock quietly began to eat the pile of potatoes on his plate. Speaking of potatoes, I have a bag of red potatoes in my refrigerator that is absolutely calling out for me to, like, cook them up. And it sounds like a good idea to do one of those tonight for dinner. You know, you just throw it in the microwave, and then it kind of becomes like mashed potatoes, not really necessarily a baked potato, but you can put all sorts of toppings, and the best one is fucking barbecue. I was out somewhere, we were somewhere, and it was like, oh, barbecue and a baked potato, and I was like, what the fuck? Because you think of like a baked potato, you're like, okay, like sour cream, cheese, chives, maybe bacon if you're into bacon, like whatever, right? And I was like, I'm gonna try this. It was the best motherfucking shit. So I usually don't cook like chicken or anything like that, like but a baked potato with like sour cream, cheese, frickin' like barbecue sauce, and I throw like jalapenos if you have them, if you don't like them, red onions, and fucking pickles, because I love pickles in my barbecue. And that shit, so fucking... Sometimes olives. I also like olives. Randomly. I don't know, all that shit together. It sounds fucking weird, but it's fucking delicious. That's my choice of potatoes. Anyway, Warlock quietly began to eat the pile of potatoes on his plate. Potatoes are like eggs. I'm not 100% sure I've ever met an egg I don't like or a potato I don't like. I mean, I'm just saying. Like, potatoes and eggs are pretty much like, I think I could live off them. It make me sad because I would never have pizza. But like, that's not true because I used to make a sweet potato pizza crust. It was a pain in the ass, but again, with like, then you barbecue sauce cheese, so it's like that, it's fucking delicious. Sweet potato pizza crust. I'm just saying! That's how you do it. God, it's been years since I did that. I kind of forgot about it. It's kind of a pain in the ass to fucking do, and they kind of crack easy. So it's like, You just get a little wheat pita bread or something, and then just throw that down and make a tiny little one. Anyway, he didn't stop until they were all gone. I wonder if he's been feeling more relaxed now that Leo seemed to be getting along with everyone. Warlock told me before that he used to only eat bread and drink water. Seeing him enjoy different kinds of food now made my heart swell with happiness. You should tell that to Oliver. You know, Orlok only ever used to eat bread and water, and then fucking Oliver would lose his shit, and this would just bring him such joy watching Orlok eat, because he likes to feed people. As I watched Orlok eating, I noticed a drop of balsamic glaze on his cheek. Orlok, let me get that. I quickly picked up my napkin and moved to Orlok's cheek when... You have a mark on your chest, yes. Evidence that you are the key maiden of legend. Which means... you belong to the leader of the Falzone family and are destined to become one with me. I stopped for a moment. After a brief pause, I wiped his cheek clean. Uh, you. I didn't notice.
And everyone else at the table is like, okay. When you do it, it's like, oh, hi. If Oliver did it, it would have been like, oh my God, Grandma, stop it. It's funny because, again, Oliver doing it would be like your mom, your dad, or your grandma being like, oh, sweetie, you got something on your face. Us doing it is like, oh, sexy. It's really awkward how the exact same action, just the underlying, like, feeling behind it changes. You know what I mean?
I could tell Orlok's smile was forced for my benefit. The surprisingly festive dinner ended almost as quickly as it began.
Aw, that's sad.
After dinner, Gil invited us to stay for drinks in the lounge, but I was feeling a bit unsettled again and decided to return to my room for the night.
I thought she was like, wait, I'm going to become one with him. I need to become one with Orlok to stop this.
I'm just saying. Dinner was enjoyable in part because it allowed me to forget about everything for a while, but now the memory came back to me. The key maiden belongs to the Valzone family. Emilio. Oh, forgetting the thing. Okay, hold on. Emilio didn't show up at all today.
Advice. He doesn't show up every day. Almost, but.
Oh, okay.
Shoulders back. My shoulders hurt too.
And not long after Space left the lounge, I also excused myself for the night. But while in the hallway, I slowed to a stop. I could sense someone coming after me and turned around to see who it was.
Orlok, is everything all right with her? It didn't seem as though you two were fighting.
She's just confused, I think. I want to help, but nothing I can do. It's frustrating. Whenever I was feeling troubled, Space would always be there to comfort me. And yet, there are so many things I want to say, but I'm not sure how to say them.
Orlok, I was raised around many strong women, so my advice will come from such a background. She's clearly intelligent, and I suspect she keeps many of her observations to herself. It'd be wise to open up communication. My advice for you is to be honest, and tell her that you have something to say but are struggling to articulate your thoughts.
Thank you, Oliver. I felt reassured by the sincere advice that Oliver gave to me,
Right? Because, like, your grandma sometimes has good advice.
Nothing will change if I ignore things. Even if it's difficult, I'll try to express myself. I nodded to myself with resolve. Oliver also nodded and smiled approvingly.
I love the fact that Oliver is just here randomly to give advice. Like, they really made him, like, wholesome and wonderful in this. Like, I really don't remember. I remember loving Oliver in main game, right? Like, but I don't really remember a lot of the things if we saw some of his quirks and stuff. But I really like that now he's not just like, oh, Oliver the lawyer, and he's just there. Like, he actually has, like, a little bit of a purpose in all of these. You know what I mean? Like, just not even that, like this. He's just got this little things, but it's also just his purpose is just to be fucking comedic relief right here. He's over there fucking like mom, dadding, grandmaing everybody with the feeding and the kid. And it's like, it's kind of fucking adorable and it's just random, but I appreciate it so fucking much. Because it's so charming and wholesome. And I just want to fucking squeeze Oliver. I imagine I'd barely go up to his shoulder. He's probably very fucking tall.
Emilio didn't show up at all today. Maybe I could talk to him. I breathed a heavy sigh. If only this mark would disappear. This birthmark has been a part of me all my life. If it was supposed to identify me as the key maiden, it might stay with me forever.
Nope, we got a break. We know how we did it in Gil's route. She doesn't, but we do.
I jumped up at the sound of the knock. It's me. Can I come in? Sorry, I clicked that too fast. I hesitated for a moment, still feeling anxious. If I said I was going to bed soon, Orlok would leave without question. But the thought of that saddened me. I opened the door and Orlok came in looking quite stern. What is it, Orlok? He looked me straight in the eye and spoke in a firm voice. I don't know if Raoul's story is true, but I also don't think it matters at all. That's what I came here to say.
Huh?
I love you for who you are, Space, I don't care about whatever marks you have. You will always be the greatest blessing in my life. Always.
Oh. Flashback CG.
Greatest blessing I was ever given is you.
It's gone now.
I always knew that the Key Maiden was sacred, but now I finally understand why. You were the one who taught me that our roles don't define us, that we each have value.
Yeah, I have value as the Key Maiden. I'm just kidding.
I'm not only a disciple, I'm Orlok. Same for you, so don't worry.
Orlok. I could tell that Orlok was trying very hard to reassure and comfort me. I felt so loved just by looking into his eyes.
Thank you, Orlok.
I smiled and took Orlok's hand. And now do inappropriate adult things. Well, appropriate adult things, but don't make me read them, and then you won't have to worry about the Key Maiden shit.
Orlok pulled me into his arms and embraced me tightly. Always been there when I needed you most, and I wanted to do the same.
Sorry.
Just couldn't put my thoughts into words. I wasn't sure what to say to make it better. Sorry it took me so long. It's okay. Just happy you're here. Surrounded by Orlok's warmth, not wanting to let go of him. Space. Getting really sleepy. It's because I couldn't fall asleep last night. And you should go to bed and rest. But thought for a moment, then whispered, stay with you longer, Orlok.
At the sound of my whisper, Orlok seemed to jump a bit in surprise. I mean, I've obviously fallen asleep with him in the room before, so I'm just saying.
Well, I can stay with you until you fall asleep. Is that okay?
Yes. You. He stayed with us until we fell asleep before, but he's like, I think it's just the stay with you. It was just the whisper, I guess, that got to him. He's like, oh. Orlok led me back to my bed so that I could go to sleep. There's a difference between, I want to stay with you longer and I want to stay with you. The whisper just like breathes into your ear if you're talking to someone. It's like, oh.
When I lay down, he gently pulled the blanket up to my shoulders. I looked up at Orlok. He was looking down at me with a tenderness that I couldn't describe. Familiar eyes that looked back at me soothed me beyond words. Feeling the gentle warmth of the blanket, I slowly closed my eyes. As I watched space drift off to sleep, I recalled what happened that day. For me and for those who believed in me, I needed to bear every one of my sins.
If you're of the same convictions and are willing to dirty your hands for what you seek, then let us duel to the death. Of course, I have no intention of dying here. And yet I feel like you did.
I won't apologize for killing you. Instead, I'll remember you for the rest of my life. I will live with the sin I committed against you, and with that, I'll bear the weight of all my sins from every life I've taken, the past, present, and future. Not wanting to kill, I was just trying to avoid my guilt. At the same time, I refused to take lives unnecessarily. Things will be different from now on. Space turned slightly in her sleep, gently brushed the hair away from her face. Prayed for her, hoping that she'd have pleasant dreams tonight. Sorry, Space, for burdening you, for worrying you and putting you in harm's way. I know how much you've kept inside. I took too long to comfort you. But I want to support you. I will become stronger for you. I no longer needed the strength to kill, but the strength to live as a human being. To be stronger for the woman I love.
Aww, that's fucking sweet. Seriously? This route is just gonna fucking end so fast. It's like, what part are we even on? 19? Is this 19? Okay, I mean, it might only be like a part or so shorter because like a couple parts shorter, it really depends on how long this one goes. But like we had three, no, we had two parts for the ending because we did the tragic ending for Gills that took two parts, but in the second part we did the thing. So we have at least those two. We probably have maybe another part or two, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. It just seems like it went so much faster. I don't know. I stretched and rolled over in bed. Huh? When I opened my eyes, I discovered Orlok's sleeping face right in front of mine. Perhaps awakened by my voice, Orlok began to squirm, slowly opening his sleepy eyes. Uh, I, I'm sorry. He quickly bolted upright into a sitting position. Do you remember we were holding hands before you went to sleep? I was, I couldn't leave, so... No, I'm the one who's sorry. It finally hit me that I was the one who asked him to stay here. I think it's so funny that we've obviously, like, he's stayed while we've fallen asleep and then left, but we've never just slept in the same bed together. It's just so ridiculous. I must have drifted off from the comfort of holding his hand. I'm sorry too. I shook my head even though he wasn't able to see me while looking away in embarrassment. No, you don't need to apologize. In the past, Orlok would have been so embarrassed by such a situation. Yeah, he might not have even realized there was any reason to be embarrassed. Seeing Orlok flustered like this meant that he had matured, but wait. Wouldn't have been so embarrassed by such a situation. Okay, that makes more sense. Seeing him blushing like this is making me blush too. He finally turned back and saw my reddened face, then gently reached out to hold my cheek. Did you sleep well? Yes? How about you, Orlok? I was about things for a while, but I slept well. Orlok looked at me with a tenderness in his eyes. Seeing you sleep like that, I felt how much I love you. I want to keep protecting you no matter what. I trained hard to become strong, and with that strength, I became a disciple. But I've done so many things that I shouldn't have. From now on, I only want to use my strength to protect you. Orlok, always made me feel protected and safe. Really appreciate everything you do for me. I reached out to hug him, feeling that the words weren't enough to express my gratitude. Space. I held him tightly in my arms. I know you've had to kill a lot of people in the past, but I still want you to be happy. I want us to always live our lives together. Never felt differently about that. I felt Orlok's arms move, and he pulled away slightly to look at my face. Hearing you say that makes me really happy. Before I could respond, he leaned in and gave me a soft kiss. I feel like I'm still dreaming. My heart overflowed with love for him. Before I could say anything, Orlok smiled and kissed me again. Oh, you! I was too flustered to say anything more. Orlok smiled playfully. You're blushing. It's cute. Love you, Space. His honesty left me speechless. It felt as if everything we had worried about last night was so far away. And yet, I guess we're going to see how it all plays out and resolves, but I almost just feel like with the things that should have been happening, I just feel like there should have been a little bit more, and like, the drama unfolds at the end, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how Gills went down. Am I just feeling like this one, like, there were so many things, like, this should be dramatic, and it's not. I don't know. His expression this morning was radiant with determination. We'll see what happens in this chapter, but it's the end, so. We smiled at each other and shared another kiss. Okay, perfect place to end it. And we'll continue chapter 6 in the next part. I don't necessarily think we'll get the ending, per se. I think maybe, who knows? I guess we'll see how far we get. But, yeah, anyway. Yeah, I mean, I guess if it takes 2 more parts to get the ending, then it would just be a slightly, like, 1 part shorter than Gills, I guess. But it just feel like it went so much faster. We got here and I was like, huh? So, I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll either get close or we'll get it in the next part or whatever, so. I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.